You are listening to the daily homily for Magdala in the Holy Land.
On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene ran and went to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we do not know where they put him." So Peter and the other disciple went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down and saw the burial cloths there, but did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial cloths there, and the cloth that had covered his head, not with the burial cloths, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who had arrived at the tomb first, and he saw and believed. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Before Mass, I was praying the office of readings for today, and there is a hymn, as usual, that opens the different hours of the office of the hours. And I was struck by the poetry in this hymn, capturing in a beautiful poetic way the spirit of John the disciple, the beloved disciple. And I just want to share with you a couple of lines from this poem, which apparently goes back to a text by St. Peter Damian, who lived 1,000 years ago. He was an extraordinary Benedictine monk. And here it is. So, river cascading from the eternal fountain. I would think even of the River Jordan coming out of the Mount Hermon. River cascading from the eternal fountain, but maybe you know rivers near you that are more powerful coming out of a fountain. Running through parched earth like a desert to refresh the thirsty. You draw from fullness all the streams you offer. So, like a river offering so many different streams. Well, usually the streams flow into the river, but this river is like spreading out in so many ways. The 3 letters of John, the Gospel of John, the book of Revelation, the experience in Ephesus, the communities formed through his leadership. This is extraordinary. River cascading from the eternal fountain, running through parched earth to refresh the thirsty. You draw from the fullness, the heavenly love, the divine love of God. God is love. You draw from fullness all the streams you offer. Heart from heart drinking. So there's more in the poem, but this is really what struck me very powerfully. So beautifully expressed. And we see John at the Last Supper leaning on Jesus' heart, on his chest at the Last Supper. And Peter says, "Who is it?" And also confronted by that extraordinary mystery of betrayal, here we have an extraordinary mystery of fidelity. And that's beautiful in that contrast as well, because objects of light stand out in a background of darkness. And so the darkness of betrayal, which is one of the darkest realities of human life, betrayal. It's such a disappointment. It's so debilitating and so depressing to see any evil deed against another. And this is a betrayal of our common fraternity. And especially among friends, it becomes really ugly, or within families. And here we have, in that darkness, the fidelity of John, even to the point of Calvary, which may have very well been actually stimulated and sustained by the demands of Mary, the mother of Jesus. She needed somebody beside her to help her, to be there, to help her in many ways, just emotionally, to be a comfort, to be a companion, going on the way of the cross. And so here we have another moment in the gospel today when we have Peter and John running to the tomb after Mary of Magdala here tells them the body is gone. And they run to the tomb, and John gets there first. He's younger than Peter. He's more agile. He was going to the gym, And so he's able to get there faster, but he waits for Peter to go in. He knows how to respect authority. A great act of humility, of truth. Humility is truth. If Jesus appointed Peter, when all the effervescence of Peter's character, and John mightn't have had a smooth character either, because he wanted to call down fire and brimstone on the Samaritan village. He was a guy of revenge, a guy of hatred of enemies. And yet he would have reached the point of saying God is love. Maybe it's the first one to say that in that way. 3 words, God is love. The impact that has had on Christian souls and disciples of Jesus, of understanding the mystery of revelation. And he's also excited when we have the first 4 verses of chapter 1 of the first letter of St. John. I encourage you to read all that chapter and the next verses into chapter 2. It's actually given to us in the reading in the breviary today in the Office of Readings. And what was from the beginning, in the beginning was God made heaven and earth. In the beginning was the Word, John's Gospel. He is a soul that's connecting the whole universe, all of creation, with his own life experience and sharing it with the world. What was from the beginning, what we have heard, what we've seen with our eyes, and going into the tomb, and the apparitions afterwards to the risen Lord, and he saw and he believed. He's documenting through that humility, that thirst for Christ. He's running there so fast. He waits. He sees, because he already saw on Good Friday evening. He was probably the last one to see the tomb. Maybe he was protecting Mary's head so she wouldn't hit the entrance to the tomb. And he's now filled with a gift of faith, because he couldn't make faith in the resurrection. That's a grace gift for which we can pray. And we can also pray for the increase of the gifts we have of faith, hope, and charity. And so John is really in the mystery. And that verse we had from the poem at the beginning, heart drinking from heart. That extraordinary love for which we're made. Many loving couples meet and fall in love with each other, get very romantic, and swear love to each other until the moon fails. And that's wonderful, because God created hearts for love. But eventually, all the loves that one can have in this world, for a little dog or a cat, or for oranges, or for ice cream, or for cars, or for property, or for study and astronomy and geology and all the things you can study, at the end, our heart is thirsty for God, and nothing else can satisfy it. And he's heart drinking from heart. This is a beautiful description. What a joy to be here together on this day. This day is very important. And actually, I was blessed 3 days after my ordination to bless my brother's wedding in Rome on this day. It was also the day of the Holy Family. It was a Sunday. It was coincided. And I was just 3 days ordained. And so that was a great blessing. And I pray very much for my brother and his wife and their 4 children now, and their grandchildren already. And so that was 37 years ago today. And then I pray for everybody who has a birthday today, that they'll be filled, that they'll be a heart who can drink from the heart of God. The time we spend, the way we learn to connect with God. And that's not major gymnastics, and it's not like some type of mental exercise. It's a grace. It's person to person. Lord, you made me. You made me for you. Lord, I am here for you. To listen to his words, that great word that instructed God's people. Listen. Love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength. Or are you loving, part of your heart is invested in this and in that and the other things, disconnected? I mean, obviously parents love their children, and they should, because that's the way they love God. And that's what Mother Teresa did with those poorest people, sick, ugly, repugnant, and she loved them, and thereby she was loving God. But to love something apart from God or against God's will or foreign to God or that estranges me from God is a false love. Every love of every creature has to lead us into that heart of love. How much there is in John for us, for our hearts. May we be all blessed to drink heart from heart.
Thank you for joining us today. If you want to learn more about Magdala, follow us on YouTube and on Facebook.